iRacing lah. Jap. Alright, we're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the brand new season of the Adrenaline Impact iRacing Malaysia Championship. We're here at the legendary Mount Panorama Circuit down in Bathurst, New South Wales, and we are going to see a brand new look to the championship with new cars and a few new faces joining some of the old contenders from Season 1. Season 2 is going to prove to be an absolutely amazing event for all the sim racers involved. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We are now in the qualifying session right now, and as we ride on board with Tengku Jan Lei diving down through Skylane, through the Dipper, and up into Forest Elbow, or rather down into Forest Elbow. Very, very steep section here. The camera really doesn't do it justice as he dives down there and into one of the most iconic stretches of bitumen anywhere in Australia, the legendary Conrod Straight. For about 340 days a year, this is a public road. You can drive down it, provided you follow the regular road rules, but about 2 or 3 times a year it gets turned into an absolutely fantastic racetrack. You can see here Tengku Jan almost, well, just going past 250 kilometers an hour before the braking zone, coming into the chase. Absolutely stunning set of corners there. We dive in at full throttle into the first right-handers, absolutely flat out, and then you have to slow the car down. And now down into the final bend. Got to get the exit just right here, and we'll see what Tengku Jan would be up to.
Yeah, I guess he's still in his out lap, and this is his first flying lap.
Yeah, that perhaps is the case. Mohammed Shukran, meanwhile, he's going to end up with a personal best there. I think he just got into the pits. Nazmi Mazli has not unfortunately done a time yet. So some new vehicles up and running right now. Just for those of you who are wondering, my name is Matthew Palmer, and I'll be your commentator for the season, and the series. And with me right now we have our event director and broadcast director, Mr. Kairo Alang. Say hi.
Hi. Welcome to season 2.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be absolutely exciting stuff. As you can see, Jan, they're going up through Reed Park and into McPhillamy Park and into one of the most famous sites in all of racing. You sweep through the left-hander here and just take a look at how close you have to get to the wall there. Then another left-hander very, very fast before you come up to what looks like a cliff edge. You can't see the rest of the track before you turn in. Absolutely stunning bit of road. You couldn't build it again today if you tried. But in any case, we have some new tracks on the calendar. It'll be all very fast and flowing tracks, just like this one. I believe we're heading to places like Silverstone and Spa. Later on in the season, we'll have a special endurance event for Merdeka Day. That will be another thing to look forward to. But also we have a brand new car. This one much faster in a straight line than the previous MX-5 cars, the Kia Optima. 375 horsepower, about 450 foot-pounds of torque, depending on the source, and front-wheel drive, so it's going to be very, very tricky for a lot of drivers to handle. Of course, the real-life racing drivers might have a bit of an advantage, because in Malaysia there is a lot of touring car drivers as well. So in any case, we've also joined by Paduka Shaib, our AIMC steward. Hi Paduka, apa khabar?
Hai, khabar baik.
So, lagi satu season, apa perasaan? Hello? I think we've lost him. We'll get him back in just a few moments' time. Paduka, I believe, is in his hometown right now. He's trying to connect via the mobile phone. But for those of you who are not in the know, just if this is your first season joining us, Paduka Shaib is our chief steward. So we've got real-life stewards looking over the racing and making sure everybody is following the rule, got penalty systems and everything in place. A couple of new things to note about the penalties. We now have position change penalties as well as time penalties as well. So a little bit more fine-grained control over who gets penalised and who isn't is basically the intermediate step from a mild penalty to a severe one. So hopefully that will help in making sure that the event is run to a very high caliber. We have a lot of people in the background who've been doing an absolutely fantastic job, and yeah, definitely all-round improvement. Also, this time around, I'm going to suspect with these cars you're going to see a lot more pit stop action. Having just joined from the Total Motorsports Discord server, I spied in their radio communication forum. I can tell you these cars are very, very heavy on the tires. So I think we're going to see pit stops and we're going to see tires and fuel as well. So it's going to be absolutely critical to get the pit strategies right, especially on a track like Mount Panorama where you really do work those front tires very, very hard indeed. The main issue with these cars up to the X5 is wheel spin coming out of the corners there. So your throttle control is going to be absolutely key, just like Irshad here, just going a little bit in and out of the throttle to try and get a good line onto Mountain Straight. Believe it or not, on the right hand side there you'll see gaps in the fences. They're not to rescue the vehicles. That's actually someone's driveway every time you see that gap in the fence. So this really is a very strange place. It's sort of a hybrid from a normal, ordinary, everyday road. There's quite a few people who rely on this as a road to go to work and back. But also, it is for anywhere between 4 and 6 times a year one of the most feared racetracks in all of the Asia Pacific region. Right now we're with Shaiful in the Tolat Motorsports car, diving down the hill into this very tricky hairpin here, Forest's Elbow. Back in the 80s there was a very big accident here with one of the drivers coming off the road and unfortunately having a big off. So definitely I wouldn't say a dangerous track nowadays. There's been a lot of safety improvements that made it a lot safer nowadays, but definitely one which really punishes mistakes. So we might see quite a lot of action tomorrow when we have the full-blown championship race. But for now it's the warm-up race, the qualifying session for the warm-up race, and I think we'll see a lot of the drivers try to go for that 214. Right now Jasmine Jali is in provisional pole position with a 115.86, and yeah, followed by Pang Azli, Ilham, Jan, Lloyd, Izan, Hazim, Faiz and Irshad. So quite a few new names there. Down in 12th position, the namesake there, Matthew Graham. He is another new face on the grid. And we also have guys like James Russell and Tengku Jam coming in from the real world of motorsports. So it really goes to show that this is a field that's definitely growing, not just with more and more sim races coming in, but also with more and more real life races. So it's absolutely fascinating and very, very exciting indeed. So that's James Russell we're on board with right now. He was fairly quick during the practice sessions there, managing a 215 himself. Quite a few drivers managed to do that. The trick is not so much getting the single lap pace out of the car, but to get the long runs down. I think we're going to see a lot of guys try and go for that long run. We've seen quite a few drivers who have adapted to the car quite well over those long runs. But yeah, we'll see how that goes for him as well. It's going to be, he was fairly quick during race room, during the MCO period, so we'll see if he improves from there. Tengku Jan, another one of our new drivers. I believe he's Tengku Ezan's brother, if I'm not mistaken. So he's finally managed to drag his elder brother into the sim racing world, or to the iRacing world. So hopefully we'll see him do quite well. He's up in 6th position, so that's very well going for a newcomer to the series. Lloyd Lachlan, who was teamless for the first season. He was a privateer, and now he's managed to catch the eye of Tura, and they've put him in one of their cars for this season. He's been improving by leaps and bounds, considering he's more of a rear drive driver as opposed to a front wheel drive specialist, but he's definitely getting the pace up there. He's up into 7th position. No, he's up to 2nd position. I do apologise. Misread there for a second there. 216.119. He's the closest to breaking into that 215 bracket that you really want to be at in order to have a chance at the front row of the grid. But Lloyd Lachlan goes up into second position. Shami Aizan now, Rab Pro Drag. That's a team that's been supporting us very well, very steadfast, entrant into the AIMC series right from the start. And he goes through and he climbs up to 20th position, so we probably want to go for another lap or two.
Yeah, he's currently injured. I think he sprained his ankle a few days ago.
So that explains it. I believe Shami Aizan also does use quite a bit of left foot braking as well, so stuck on one foot means it'll be quite difficult for him to try and tame these cars. A lot of drivers like, especially with a turbocharged and a front wheel drive car, a lot of drivers like to use the left foot to control wheel spin coming out of the corner, so it's a very counterintuitive technique. But we'll see how it goes for him. He's still doing okay. He's still up at the top 2/3 of the field in the 20s, so that's good for him. And Ruben Wong goes through. He has not improved on his lap time, but again, just like with the MX-5s, I suspect he might be going for a 2-lap warm-up strategy. But the difference between qualifying pace and the race pace is going to be even more stark with these cars. You can try to hold this sort of pace for long periods of time, but in reality, you're going to have to go a little bit slower if you want to save the tyres and go for the longer gap to the first stop. So it's going to be an absolutely fantastic strategic battle. The team managers are all furiously scribbling away, trying to work out fuel consumption and tyre life right now, which they were doing through practice session. And yeah, now hopefully we'll see if they can improve. Gilbert Ang. We've had Dominic Ang, we've had Freddie Ang, and this is Gilbert Ang. I believe they're all from the same family as well, keeping it in the family in the URT racing team. Pushing as hard as he can. He goes a little bit wide on the exit of the corner there, but it looks like it's still going to be a quicker time for him. Yes, indeed, and it brings him up to 23rd position. 2:18.205 for Gilbert. Shami Aizan goes off the road a little bit there. Not too sure if that would count, but speaking of that chicane coming into the final corner, this section of the track, even though it looks very simple, it's actually very, very difficult. The grip level is not as high as elsewhere on the track, and also the lay of the land means that the cars basically going downhill, then uphill, then downhill again. So it's a very three-dimensional problem to try and go through there as quickly as possible. Saiful Arifin, our Season 1 champion, now diving down into the chase, absolutely flat out through the first corner, then through the second corner, over the curbs there. You've got to be really careful with the curbs. The curbs here very, very narrow indeed, not Formula 1 style curbs that we've seen elsewhere in iRacing. This is definitely high precision stuff. Goes over the curb there, uses a lot of the inside curb, big V8 supercar style jump across the curbs there, and he's up into, he's still in 16th position there, so he'll try and go for a quicker lap time again very, very shortly. There's only 1 minute left, and right now the top two, Jezrin Jelly and Lloyd Lachlan, are in the pits. Don't think they'll have enough time to go out, so I think they are done. Freddie Young is in 3rd position, Pang is in 4th, followed by Hazim, Asli, Nigel, Ilham, Jan and Jai. That is your top 10, with Tunku Ezan just 1 position down from that. But Tunku Jan is still hot lapping out there. Nazmi Mazli manages to go 26. Tunku Jan, he's in 9th. Will he be able to improve on his position? Yes, he does. He goes up into 7th position. James Russell's now coming down the hill. He's going to watch his braking zone very, very carefully through here. He's just a little bit slow there, but he'll have enough time to start 1 more lap. Meanwhile, he's decided not to try and continue on that, but he's
he climbed up to 3rd
position. So that is absolutely fantastic for a newcomer to the series. So that's Jezrin Jali, Lloyd Lachlan, Russell, James Russell, followed by Freddie, Pang, Hazim, Asli, Jahan, Nigel and Ilham. We see Muhammad Mohammed. He's another very quick driver. And just a quick shout out there to Amir Faridyan. Hello guys, good luck Auto House FCR Performance Esports. Amir Faridyan being one of our drivers from Season 1. And yeah, if you guys want to talk to any of the drivers that maybe aren't racing due to the fact that they're back in their hometowns for Idul Adha, do drop them a message down there in the comment section below. And while you're dropping us a comment down below, do hit that like button and share it amongst your friends and spread the sim racing love around. Nigel Hafiz there, who's bombing down the hill. Of course, the apocryphal tale of Conrod Strait is that there's more engine parts strewn about this particular road than anywhere else in motor racing. Very, very hard on the engine, this track. It is remarkable. You have to have very, very good engine power and horsepower. Unfortunately, with all these guys, the cars are identical, even down to the setup, even down to things like tire pressure. So they just really have to drive what they've got. They've all got the same amount of horsepower. They've also got the same amount of handling, which is going to be really tricky because across the top of the mountain, car setup is absolutely critical. So we'll see who can actually adapt and drive around there. Danishaman says, Selamat Hari Raya guys, good luck to that motorsports. We'll wish you good luck as well, Danishaman. And Amir Faridyan says, sorry, can't make it. I'm building a dedicated PC for iRacing. Will race tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, look out for Amir Faridyan. He was very, very quick in Season 1. We can hope to see him do very, very well this season as well. And now we see Eddie Adrian coming up. He's 25th. He is the final driver to come across the line. He will come across and decide not to improve his time. He goes in 24th position. So that is all of the guys who have finished their hot laps, and we have our top 5: Jazrin Jali, Nigel Chua, Freddie Ang, Lloyd Lachlan, James Russell, and as you can see, the grid now starting to form up. There'll be a couple of minutes while they reset themselves and start to form up on the grid. As you can see there, you can actually see the junction where the racetrack turns left and the public highway continues on straight. So definitely a old school road racing course. Definitely a challenge to try and get right. But a unique place, absolutely stunning. You couldn't really build a track like this anywhere else again today, but thankfully they've managed to keep Bathurst up and running. So another difference with these cars and this rule package that we have to run with cars is that the cars will have a rolling start procedure, and this is the same as in the Pirelli Challenge in the US of A, where these cars run natively. But right now we have on pole position Jazrin Jali, followed by Nigel Chua, Freddie Ang, Lloyd Lachlan in 4th position, Freddie Ang for Team URT Black, Jazrin and Nigel for Auto House FCR, and Lloyd Lachlan for Todak Motorsports Asia. In 5th position is Team URT Go, James Russell, who is one of our debutants, with Chok Fun Pang in 6th position, Zainal Hazim in 7th, Azli Dali in 8th, followed by Tuku Janle in 9th, and Michael Hafiz doing very well for himself in 10th position. He is a bit of a front-wheel drive specialist, so we can hope to see him improve quite a lot from Season 1. Ilham Hlabi down in 11th, followed by Afisul Jai down in 12th, with Hizan Lay in 13th, Faid Azlan 14th, Aaron Lim 15th, followed by Zafri, Tuku Irshad, Matthew Graham, Mohammed Shukran, Saiful Arifin, Ruben Wong, Kelvinder Singh, Shami Aizan, and Eddie Adrian. That's your top 24, with Mohammed Mohaimin, Gilbert Ang, Khaled Inha, Afiq Fadlan, Sopian Saib, Nazmi Mazli, Dominic Ang, Malvinder Singh, and Jay Chung rounding out the field at the back. So 33 drivers out of the potential 55 have elected to enter. We had quite a few drivers, of course, not able to make it, but they will be there, I'm sure, for this Sunday's race. In the meantime, we have the pace car out the front. We should get everyone griding up fairly soon. We've got Irshad and Nigel. Irshad and Nigel Chua just and a couple of other drivers just to yet to grid. They've got to click through the and get themselves ready. Nigel Chua and Jason Jolly there, the front row of the grid. That space next to them is Nigel Chua's space. And it looks like he's unable to grid up. That's going to be interesting. May have been a slight problem there. So the grid leaves without Nigel Chua on the grid. That's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Meanwhile, Jasmine Jali there, he is in pole position. Irshad is in the pits. He'll start from the pit lane. As we go through the chase, look at that. All those angry Kia Optima K5 cars ready and waiting to go. 375 horsepower in each one. I don't even want to do the math as to how many thousands of horsepower are behind Jaswin Jali. Now he has control of the field. Remember, the racing starts when the lights go green. About ready to go. The red light's out and the green flag is waving. They should be off and away. Jaswin Jali manages to keep the lead from Freddie, with James Russell in third, Lloyd Loughlin in fourth, and Pang in fifth, and a lot of position changes further on back down the field. And Lloyd Loughlin right next to James Russell, side by side, coming through Mountain Straight and into the quarry bend. Now they've got to have the braking zone really down pat in order to try and make anything work here, but it looks like Lloyd Loughlin manages to go around the outside through quarry bend, now coming up through the cutting, climbing up the hill there. Jasmine Jali still leads. Freddie, Lloyd, Russell, Pang and Hazim, that's your top six right there. James Russell in the URT team colours. URT of course have several teams, all of which are named after the colours. So there's Team Pink, Team Black, Team Black Pink, and Team Gold as well. So do look out for them for the big roster of URT drivers. We also have a big roster from Todat Motorsports, as well as a team entered by Dantes in conjunction with Todat Motorsports. So it's nice to see all these teams growing and getting new teams up there. But there's a spin at the top of Skyline, and Tunku Janley's got some damage on the front end of his car, so there's had been a bit of an incident further up the hill there as the cars begin to climb down the hill. However, there's not too many incidents so far, and everyone seems to be taking it quite easy at the start of the race here. Of course, the tyre wear is going to be a bit of an issue, so perhaps not as much drama as it would be previously, but it's going to be an absolutely fantastic race nevertheless. Saiful Arifin now has Lim in his sights. Will Saiful be able to do anything on Lim coming into here? On the brakes, just getting closer and closer, but it seems like the drivers have managed to get themselves into single file quite easily indeed. Cars 27 and 28 stuck on the mountain there. There was a spin at the top of Skyline, at the very top of the mountain. Furthest point away at the pits. It's I think Takujan was involved with yet another URT driver, which is very, very unfortunate indeed. But right now our top six: Jaswin Jali, Freddie Ang, Lloyd Loughlin, Pang, Hazim and Tuku Jan. And it looks like we've lost a couple of the URT drivers, and a couple of other guys have gone off the back of the field. But Jaswin Jali is still in the lead, but Freddie Ang is still close enough to profit from any mistakes that Jaswin does. So Jaswin Jali is definitely not in the clear. Freddie Ang definitely in a position to strike should the worst happen. Lloyd Loughlin there in third position, quite a few seconds back there, so the top two cars have managed to pull away by quite a fair margin. Lloyd Loughlin right now, he's in a comfortable position. He's not too close to this battle in front to have any problems, so he's definitely pulling away from Pang. Tunku Jan there in fifth position. The gaps are starting to open up at the front of the field, but in the mid-pack there, Michael Hafiz is right in the middle of a real bad battle. Asli is right Asli is right ahead of him. Hafizul Jai is right behind him, and Tengku Ezan is ready to try and overtake all of them. Hazim is up ahead in the Dante's car. He's just been overtaken by Asli, and will Michael be able to take advantage of the chaos going on around him? See, while we ride on board, going underneath the bridge there. Meanwhile, the replay from Aaron Lim's point of view. This was earlier on when they had the incident at the top of the hill, and that was it. Aaron Lim got pitched sideways and caused a bit of a traffic jam at the start of the race there, and he sent another car flying. I'm not too sure who that was, but that was a pretty impressive attempt there. A little bit of bumping and barging to try and get them back down the field, but that's a lot of damage for Aaron Lim's car. That's going to be a real shame to try and get the car back up into the field. Afizul Jai there, he's on the grass there, down in 8th position. He's pushing hard to try and get back at Asli. Ilham Labi is behind there. He's climbed up a few positions there, so he's going to be pushing as hard as he can to try and make that maneuver stick. They're still in that battle. Michael has managed to overtake a lot of them and go into 5th position, so that is absolutely fantastic. But he is right at the field at the front of a very long line of cars there, and it looks like there was bumping from behind. It pushed Michael up into the car in front, but Tengku managed to get ahead of Michael Hafiz. Hafizul Jai there, still in 7th position, trying to make an overtaking maneuver work on Michael Hafiz, but Michael is right all over the back of Tengku Ezan there. It looks like he might be looking for an opportunity to try and overtake. Michael all over the back of the other car there, but it looks like everyone else is as well. This train of cars, I can foresee, either will have a long race-long battle or a big accident. Knowing touring car racing, it could be a little bit of both. But only 6 minutes into a 45-minute race, and there's been action all up and down the field. It's absolutely been amazing. Ilham Halabi now in 9th position, but he can see the cars ahead of him. If he gets a good tow coming out of Forest Elbow, he might be able to make an overtaking maneuver work into the chase. Let's see if he can get it going down into Conrad Straight there. We can see the Todat Motorsports guys waiting for a chance to pounce. Saiful and Sukran. Sukran 5 seconds behind there, so it's just Saiful that Ilham Halabi has to worry about. But Asli there, really in a bit of trouble from Jai. Asli Dali. And this whole entire group of cars there, I think we might see a position change in the next lap or two coming from these guys. They're still very, very close to each other. And meanwhile, just slightly further up ahead there, Ezan and Michael are still battling it out. The midfield battle here looking to be very, very entertaining indeed. That unique forcing in the sound. For those of you perhaps not in the know, a little bit of trivia with the engines that they use in the car. They actually share the same basic block and basic cylinder head design with the Mitsubishi Evo 10 4B11 engines, so it's the same family of engines. They were both produced under the GEMS moniker, and yeah, it's got a unique Kia cylinder head, however, Hyundai Kia cylinder head, so there is quite a lot of Hyundai technology there. And there's been a pile-up right there ahead of Dominic Ang. That sent another car flying off the road there. We're watching from Mohammed Shukran's point of view there in the Dante's Motorsport entry, and it looks like there's just been a tap from behind which spun him around, and unfortunately there was another car coming at full speed that sent him well out of the track. So that's a very, very dramatic incident for him. He wouldn't be too happy with that. He's now in the pits. He's going to have that car repaired. Meanwhile, Eddie Adrian, one of the quick drivers from the first season, our rookie of the season, is now up there with the big boys in 13th position. He is battling with Shami Aizan and Dominic Ang. and really trying to hold his own there. Quite a lot of damage on these cars, as you can see, with touring car racing. Rubbing is racing up to a certain point. These are very, very big motor cars to try and squeeze around a very, very narrow racetrack. It's very long here, over 6 kilometers long, but not a very wide racetrack, even by Australian standards. So, yeah, very, very difficult for these guys to try and race around each other. They'll probably be quite thankful of the practice in this warm-up race. We've got Dominic Ang there really pushing Eddie Adrian past that lapped traffic there of Chung. And now he's going to try and go in for the overtaking maneuver. Let's see if Dominic Ang can manage to make it work. He just about makes it work there, but now he's slightly inconvenienced himself in the exit there. He's got a really bad exit coming through that corner there. And you can see Eddie Adrian really coming in hot. And you can see the speed difference. If you get the final corner wrong, the difference in speed is just absolutely amazing. Very well held by Eddie Adrian tonight, not have that incident happen. But now Dominic Ang is trying to overtake yet another driver, and I think he manages to get past Shami Aizan there quite easily, although Shami Aizan is still trying to push quite hard through Quarry Bend. But yeah, it looks like Dominic Ang manages to get that overtaking maneuver to stick. But Shami Aizan, no slouch himself, he's going to be quite quick as well, especially through the top of the mountain here. Let's see if he can hang on to the coattails of Dominic Ang and Ruben Wong, two URT drivers up ahead, driving in formation. We'll see if they can pull away. Yes, looks like they actually are, in fact, pulling away quite a bit there from Shami Aizan. So I'm not too sure if there's a little bit more damage on Shami's car compared to Dominic or Ruben's, but it looks like the two URT drivers have managed to break through, carve their way through the field, and they're now in 11th and 12th, looking for a way into that top 10 position. But Shami Aizan is still pushing as hard as he can. Eddie Adrian is behind him. Everyone is very close to each other, so one mistake from either of these drivers will mean the difference. And it looks like Eddie Adrian again trying to poke his nose on the inside. Luckily, there's just enough space for him to get away with that. But now down Conrad Straight. Who's got the draft? Who's got the best toe coming down the hill here? You can see the drivers sort of weaving in and out to try and break the toe of the car behind, try and follow the car in front. There's going to be a lot of mind games going through here. Dominic and Ruben are quite close to each other. Will they try and make an overtaking maneuver work on each other? And it looks like Shami Aizan is off the road, and Michael Hafiz is off the road as well. Michael Hafiz obviously missed the braking point through there, and unfortunately he went off the road, and that's going to be a real trouble for Michael to try and hold on to that top 10 position, simply because now he's got everyone behind him trying to catch him up. Ilham Halabi, however, is running in tandem with Saiful Arifin. They're literally in flying formation going down the mountain straight here, and it looks like these two drivers will just be trying to keep their cars at a good, steady, consistent pace, and to try and not to push each other too hard, because obviously when you start battling with your teammates, it can be a little bit counterproductive. Oftentimes it's better to try and work your way up the field as high as you can before you try and start beating a teammate. But then again, as they say, the biggest rival in any form of motorsport is your teammate. So perhaps you might see some fireworks for those two drivers later on. Afiq Fadlan in 17th position. He's trying to catch up with this group up ahead. They're still battling it out. Ruben Wong, Dominic Ang, Shami Aizan, Eddie Adrian, Faiz and Hazim as well. The tail end of that, as you can see, the Dante's Motorsport car up ahead. Afiq Fadlan, AFAR as his initials go, in a team with Calvin Ha in that AFAR 778 Motorsports entry. Absolutely unique car going through these curves here. Dominic Ang really trying to get away from rather scary looking Shami Aizan further back through the field. But now we're just going to watch Saiful Arifin. Let's see the replay from Saiful Arifin over his point of view. And ooh, that's a big incident there. Really, really bad incident. And yeah, he's definitely some strangeness going on with the physics today.
I wonder what's the gravity level today.
Yeah. There might be some explaining to do there. But yeah, I've noticed all of a sudden the cars are taking off from the track quite a lot in the incidents there, so I'm not sure if that's a weird quirk with the temperatures. I know they were saying the temperatures were relatively high, but then again, they're not too far beyond the realms of impossibility, so very strange indeed. But yes, I for F1 wouldn't be too happy with that. But it looks like Faiz Aslan, and that was Eddie Adrian. He just gone off the road there. It's very, very hard to get the exit of that corner right, and if you do get it wrong, just look at how many spots Eddie Adrian has dropped down. That was an absolute disaster for him. Zainul Hazim in the Dante's Toyota Motorsport entry 023. He's managed to get through the incident, and got Shami Aizan there up ahead, trying still desperately to chase down the URT guys. It looks like Dominic Ang has managed to get past Ruben Wong, so that is an intra-team battle that's resolved itself. But now Shami Aizan will be pushing as hard as he can to try and get onto the tail end of Ruben. These guys are pushing as hard as if it was the final lap of the final race. It's only a warm-up race, ladies and gentlemen, and you can look at these guys. They just love to race. I'm pretty sure that they'll do this even if there wasn't any prizes or anything like that. Just the passion being showed by all of these drivers is absolutely amazing. But for those of you who are wondering what happens after the warm-up race, well, apart from that, we'll try and have a chat with some of the drivers after this, but also on Sunday, that's tomorrow, we're going to have the actual race itself. The service start at 9 and the qualifying and the race starts at 10. The same sort of format, 45-minute race. It's going to be absolutely entertaining from start to finish, and they will be definitely racing for points, which will go towards the championship. There'll be 6 rounds each with their points allocation, with 30 points going to the winner, so it's going to be an absolutely hard-fought championship. The point structure worked really well for the first season, so we're hoping to see it work its magic on all these competitors in the second season as well. But yeah, it's going to be an absolutely entertaining race, so do stay tuned to Adrenaline Impact for more news on that, and do stay tuned for the race tomorrow. That's going to be an absolutely amazing one to watch. Ruben Wong has fell off the road. That it looks to be quite dramatic stuff indeed. He is in with Pang, and they touch. The 2 teammates touch. Ruben Wong manages to catch the car. That's the touring car experience that Ruben Wong has quite a lot of, managing to straighten the car up, but he wouldn't be too happy with his own teammate giving a contact there, but it looked like he ran off the road there, and that's given the position to Shami Aizan, who they were battling with, so I'm not too sure what happened. I don't think there was contact. I think Ruben might have just pushed the car a little bit too quick and went off the road, although I'm not too sure. In the meantime, he's under pressure from Urshad, and he is still catching up with the car ahead of him. This time, however, it's Faiz in the Dante Motorsports car up ahead. Chok Fun Pang in the number 14, in the number 3 Team URT Blackpink car in 14th position. No guesses on who their favourite K-pop band are. And again, URT Uncle Racing Team, as they are known. Definitely the team with the best sense of humour in the series. It's great to have them in the race, but as we see, Eddie Adrian, he's still not giving up. He's still with the same team he was in the previous season there, so car number 666, perhaps he's getting a little bit more aggressive now that he's got his rookie season out of the way, just trying to hunt down Afik, really pushing the car quite hard. You can see the rear end of Afik's car is skipping around quite a lot, so could this be sideways going down the hill coming into Forest Elbow? Could it be that Afik Fadlan's car is starting to lose it? The grip of the tyres might start to go away. We might start looking at pit stops fairly soon. But yeah, Afik Fadlan there really having a handful to try and control the car over the mountain, but he still has a slight pace advantage on Eddie Adrian. It really comes down now to Eddie Adrian being able to slipstream down the straights effectively and try and catch up. Interesting thing about these two competitors that make up AFAR 778 Autosport, Afik Fadlan and Calvin Ha are the drivers, and they were both privateers in the previous round. Well, Calvin Ha was the sole driver for 778 Motorsports, and Afik Fadlan was the same for his team as well. And they've decided to combine their resources and form a team, which looks to be a very awesome thing to do. A lot of the privateers have now found teams. We were a little bit worried initially to see if they can find teams for themselves, but they've been very proactive and very professional in trying to get the teams together, and it looks to be that the series is just growing by leaps and bounds, which is absolutely fantastic. Zainal Hazim there trying to catch up with Shami Aizan, who is now dropped off from the back of Dominic Ang. Shami Aizan, as we remember, who was pushing very, very hard indeed to try and catch up with the URT cars. He's dispatched off one, but it looks like Dominic Ang just has that pace advantage. He's not able to catch up with Dominic. So now we're going to see who is going to dive into the pits and who is going to do what when it comes to that equation. Further down the field, I see Marvin Majid has managed to recover. Shopian has as well. Michael Hafiz, he's down in 24th position, so he's probably had a little bit of trouble there. Nigel Chua is in the pit lane. I think he may have gone into the pits. He may be the start of the pit lane shenanigans. I think we're going to start to see the first stops coming in now. You see Russell also all the way down there in 22nd position. He's also gone in for his pits. Ilham Hlamida in 7th position, and Lloyd Lockton's the first of the front runners who decides to go in for the pit. He's trying to go in for an early pit stop there. He of Todat Motorsports Asia, another privateer who's managed to prove his worth and get into a top team. Ilham Hlabi is now going through there, but the two leading URT cars are going into the pits. That's the two brothers, Jan and Ezan, pitting at the exact same time, so we know that they're on the exact same strategy. It's all going to be down to driving for that particular battle. Dominic Ang decides to go for another lap, and it looks like Teku Ershad is going to improve quite a few positions. So will everybody actually behind that leading group. Jezrin Jali is still in the lead, and Freddie Ang is still in second. Jezrin there, remarkably well kept car, is cruising right now at the head of the field, 5.5 seconds ahead of Freddie Ang, and it looks like Jezrin's going to be really comfortable in a really comfortable position, but he's got to really watch out for his pace. It depends really on the pit strategy. He's going to be looking at Ilham, he's going to be looking at Dominic, he's going to be looking at a few of the drivers further down the field there. It looks like a lot of the drivers are in the pits for quite a long time. Maybe they're taking the elective repairs that they're allowed to take to try and repair the cars and get them into somewhat more of a good condition. That's Shukran up ahead, he's a lap down, he's going to be dispatched quite easily, I would imagine, down Conrad Straight here. However, having said that, Shukran's car is also in a remarkably good condition. They've managed to avoid some incidents as well. Afizul Jai, he comes out of the pits in 15th position. He's ahead of Tuku Jan and Izan. James Russell is out on the track there. He's going to gain maybe a few positions. Just about joining back at the back of the field there. He would have been able to leapfrog the drivers, but now he's back with his teammates. And now it's a case of seeing if the URT drivers can work together to try and claw their way back up the field. But as you can see there, quite a few of the front runners have made the pit stop. Lloyd has made his pit stop, Jai has, Tuku Jan and Tuku Ezan has made their pit stops as well. Russell hasn't, James Russell hasn't, Zafri hasn't, and Mohammed hasn't in that little group at the bottom there. But the entire front top of the leaderboard from first down to 12 still have yet to make their pit stops. However, having said that, Jezrin Jali and Freddie Ang have just both gone into the pit lanes. So Ilham Hlabi will take the lead, but it looks like Jezrin and Freddie have responded to the undercut from the URT guys. Chofam Pang is now battling really hard with Eddie Adrian. They tangle. They tangle, they nearly have themselves flying off the track there, but they managed to get it under control. Meanwhile, Jasmine Jelly is in the pits with Freddie right behind him. This is going to be a case of who can get out of the pits quickest. This is the battle of the pit stops right now. Coming in, Shopian also coming in. Shopian side. And it looks like there's going to be change all up and down the leaderboard. Ilham Halabi is up ahead. Hazim has managed to shuffle himself way up the field, up into second position, albeit 30 seconds down. Ilham Halabi, I would guess, will be thinking about trying to get into the pit window as much as possible, so he'll be pushing as hard as he can to try and get into the pits and get his pit stop done for free. But that's Ilham Halabi. I think, again, he has found himself in a position that's going to be very helpful for himself. Having said that, Jazra Jali passes Nazmi there and goes up into 6th position on fresh tyres and a full tank of fuel, or as full as it needs to be to finish the race. We're now already past the halfway point. It's another 20 minutes to go in this 45-minute race. And as we can see there, Lloyd Loughlin is the first of drivers who have stopped. So he is up effectively into the lead. He's in 5th position right now on the road, but once the cars pit ahead, he'll either be in the lead or in 2nd position, depending on Ilham Halabi's ability to try and get that pit stop done as soon as possible. He's got a 30-second advantage. Will that be enough to go into the pits? It looks like he's going to go for it. Yes, this is Ilham Halabi coming into the pits. He has 31-second advantage coming into the pit lane. Will this be enough to maintain the lead? Could this be another one of Ilham Halabi's sort of almost legendary strategic maneuvers to try and get himself from what looked like a hopeless position right up into the sharp end of the field? Just goes to show that these racing drivers, they can think. It's not just all about trying to drive as fast as possible. There's a lot of strategy involved in these long races. There's a stop DRT car, and Zainal Hazim really has to avoid that accident there. But we're looking at Afiq. Hazim has gone into the pits. A few other drivers. Afiq has also decided to go into the pits there as well, and Malvinajit has as well there. So Lloyd Loughlin, I think, will assume the lead of the race. Ilham Halabi still stuck in the pit lane, and it looks like, yes, Lloyd Loughlin has managed to beat Ilham Halabi in the pits, and that's going to be the Toyota Motorsports Asia cars in 1st and 2nd, or 1st and 3rd. I do apologise, that was Zafri up in the background there, but Lloyd Loughlin from Australia leading on his home track for Toyota Motorsports Asia. This is going to be absolutely fantastic for him if he can keep the car on the boil for as long as possible. That'll be a fantastic way to start Season 2 for Toyota Motorsports. Ilham Halabi finally gets out. I fortunately think he mistimed that slightly. He had to put a little bit more fuel than he anticipated. Now he's down into 4th position with Freddie right behind him. So this is going to be very challenging indeed for Jazrin. And it looks like, ooh, they're almost in touching distance there. So they're trying to find a way over the mountain. This is going to be very, very dramatic stuff indeed. So close they could touch, they could swap paint going over the mountain there. Both cars still in perfect control. Jasmine Jali in 2nd, Freddie Ang in 3rd. They're still very close to the front of the field, but Lloyd Loughlin is 10 seconds up ahead, and battling like this might mean that Lloyd will have a chance to try and pull away. But it looks like Jezrin and Freddie are really battling it out there. It looks like Freddie Young's got a little bit more pace going up the hill, but Jezrin Jelly has quite a lot of pace going down the hill as well. So this could be a battle that ebbs and flows throughout the race. But it's still half a second between them. That's not a lot of time in real terms. You can see how close the cars are. That's only 2 or 3 cars between them, depending on where they are on the road. And it looks like Freddie Young has got a massive toe there. He's gone from 0.5 of a second to 0.3 of a second to 0.2 of a second, and he's really caught up quite a bit. So I suspect that Jazrin Jali is losing up at the top of the Freddie Ang is losing out a little bit at the downhill sections on the mountain there, but he's able to gain it by being in the slipstream of the car ahead and really using the car up there. They're going to be going side by side down the main straight. Will Freddie Ang be able to make that overtaking maneuver work? That braking distance so long with these cars really promotes very, very good racing there. And Jason Jolly manages to make that overtaking maneuver work. Now, Freddie managing to get past Ezan, who's in the pits as well. Both cars are going to be climbing up the hill quite a bit there. Jezrin Jelly is going to be boxed in if he doesn't make a move now. And yes, he does decide to go and make a move. He's going to go around the outside through Corey Penn. Will he be able to make this work? Now he's got Tiko Ezan there, who backs out of it. Tiko Ezan is a lap behind, so he's not going to be too aggressive in any of his work. But he also doesn't want to lose any more time. So he is going to be trying to drive as fast as possible. And up ahead is Zafri. This is going to be another lap traffic car down in 25th position. So Freddie Ang really has to get past Zafri as fast as possible. Zafri known as Ajab to his friends there. Tiko Ershad in the Dante Soda Motorsport car, also in a bit of a battle with Mohammed Mohammed up ahead there. And it looks like they're in a real pack with Pang and Shamir up ahead. So Pang, Mohammed, Irshad in their own little three-way battle to try and get to the bottom of the top 10. Tiko Irshad, they're getting really close to Mohammed. It looks like Mohammed's gone wide. Tiko Irshad had to jump back on the brakes and try and get the car turned in to just try and avoid Mohammed there. That could have so nearly have been a very, very big accident, but well held by both drivers to try and avoid that. Mohammed gave enough space and Tiko Irshad gave it enough brakes to try and get the car turned in there. But now over the top of the mountain, Mohammed and Irshad, Tiko Irshad was getting closer and closer to the back of Mohammed, but it looks like over the top of the mountain this time around, Mohammed has managed to get himself just a bit of a breathing room, although he's really going to have to push hard, especially going over Skyline and the Dipper through the S's down the hill. And it looks like Tiko Irshad can get really close to the braking. So that goes to show, I think Tiko Irshad's tyres are in slightly better condition than Mohammed. You can see the car sliding around quite a lot. It's often a misconception that front wheel drive cars understeer quite a lot, but actually they can get the tail out. They can get the tail out quite often indeed. But it looks like Tiko Irshad might not be close enough to try and get a tow. Although having said that, these cars do have a very big slipstream effect. They have a very big wake behind them of still air, which means that you can drive right up to the back of them without losing too much downforce yourself. See them coming into the chase, and it looks like Pang and Shamir have gone off the road there. They must be really battling quite hard up ahead. Meanwhile, Tiko Irshad is now managing to get himself side by side, but Mohammed goes into the pits. That must be frustrating for Tiko Irshad. Tried to battle with the driver for so long, and when he does finally give way, he's going into the pits there. So that's a little bit of time lost, but then he's on his way. James Russell unfortunately had a bit of an issue, I believe, at the top of the hill at the first lap, but unfortunately he's well down the order in 21st position. But he's got Zainal Hazim up ahead and Shopian up ahead as well, so he's got two more targets. Let's see him go dive down the inside. Oh, Castrol chase. Will he be able to make it work under brakes? Yes, he manages to get that taking maneuver done very well indeed. Now he's going to go down into the final bend and really hunt down Shopian's side. This man very, very quick in practice, but unfortunately just lost out at the top of the hill at the early stages of the race, and now he's been fighting up the hill, up the field as much as possible. He'll want to get into the top 20 positions. He's in 18th right now. He'll want to go as high up as he can, as befitting a driver who's managed a 215 around this track in the past. Meanwhile, Lloyd Loughlin is in the pits.
Oh yeah, he just went to pits, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a very spectacular entrance to the pit lane, going across the gravel there. He just missed his braking point. Now he has to give up that position that he held in the lead. He would have been very pleased with himself to try and hold that onto that lead for as long as he did. And it looks like he might be able to get out in the top 10 still. So that's a job well done from Lloyd Lachlan and his stint in the lead. But right now, Freddie Ang must be feeling very good with himself right now in first position. Now the URT guys really playing the tactical game here. Tuku Ezan is a lap down, but still very close, and still sort of rather cheekily putting a little bit of pressure on Jezrin Jali. Jezrin Jali has a 1.4 second deficit to try and make up to Freddie Young. He's going to try and push as hard as possible. Freddie Young just needs to manage the gap there. Lloyd Lachlan comes out in 6th position, which is relatively good. The gap to the car in front, however, is quite a tall order to try and get. Meanwhile, Jezrin Jali really has to be a little bit careful. He'd be wondering to himself, will it be better to let Tuku Ezan unlap himself? Because right now he's desperately trying to chase down a URT car that's running away in the front, and he's got a URT car behind him filling the mirrors. This is going to be very dramatic stuff for Jezrin. He's been absolutely critical in the success in the team's championship previous time around. Outer House FCR, of course, being the team's champion in season 1. Jezrin Jali, meanwhile, he's done fantastic service across the board, and now with Outer House FCR Performance Team A is a 2-team effort here. Each team, by the way, has either 2 or 3 drivers, so a lot of the bigger teams have split up and they've decided to run two different teams, or 3 different teams, or in the case of URT and Total Motorsport, I believe 4 teams. Really very, very populous teams indeed in racing. And the scoring system for the team championship basically works on the principle that the top 2 drivers from each team score points for the championship. So we see there Jezrin Jali, he's got Tuku Ezan. I mean, I would be tempted to try and give Ezan that position at this point. But now we've got more traffic joining the field there. Calvin Ha has a massive accident at the top of the hill. He would have hit one of the walls there. He's broken a track control arm, or a tie rod end, and that's his steering system out, and unfortunately that's Calvin Ha. It looks like he's going to be out of the race, which is an absolute shame because he's been driving very, very well indeed. Lloyd Lachlan there climbing up the hill in 6th position. Tuku Ezan still giving Jezrin quite a lot of stick there. Pang up ahead. If I was Jezrin, I would think, man, there's a lot of URT cars around here. You'd be a little bit nervous. I'm sure they're not trying to do anything too malicious, but the psychological effect of having your car surrounded by the rival team's car, I can assure you, is a very, very large psychological effect indeed. They're sort of using NASCAR-style tactics here to try and crowd him out. It looks like Pang up ahead. He will have to yield at some point to try and let Jezrin Jali pass, but obviously he's going to wait till the last possible moment before he does that. URT playing the team game up there. Jezrin Jali is a little bit exposed because he's the only outer house car in the top 5. So he's going to be trying to push as hard as possible to try and gain some positions. They really want to try and get past at least one of these URT cars. Tuku Ezan, he's not backing off. Neither of these 2 drivers are backing off. This is going to be an absolutely fascinating little dalliance up the field there, and it looks like Pang decided to give way. Discretion, the better part of valor there, I believe, and they've decided to let Jezrin Jali go. Tuku Ezan and Pang now in a battle of all their own there. It looked like Ezan got really sideways, and both cars left the track briefly there, as you can see with the red marker. When it comes up on the leaderboard, that's when a driver leaves the track. Their position number will flash red, and I just saw Ezan and Pang's numbers briefly flash red there for a second. Obviously they're pushing as hard as possible, but that is Freddie Ang up ahead, and that is Jezrin Jali. Another URT car there with the Tedco livery. Rd1 for Team URT Pink, he's in 14th position. in a nice comfortable position himself on track, 15 seconds behind Afik, so it looks like Afik Fadlan has the better of Ruben, and Nasmi there well down the order in 15th. Meanwhile, Lloyd Lachlan, he was leading the race for quite a long time there as we come up into 6 minutes left in the race. That's about two and a half more laps to go. And it looked like Lloyd Lachlan was for a long time leading the race, but unfortunately he just couldn't build up enough of a gap in order to go into the pits there. But he's up in 6th position, 6 seconds behind Afizul Jai up the road there. So while it looks like he is in the he is well in the top 10, but he won't be able to improve on 6th position. Further up the road there, Afizul Jai, he is 3.7 seconds behind Tukujan. He's another driver in a fairly comfortable position. He's going to reel off these last couple of laps, and he will be solidly in 5th position. Another top 5 result from Afizul Jai, aka Jai Bluebird, a well-known drifter in Malaysia. Meanwhile, Jazrin Jali there, he is 3.1 seconds behind Freddie, and it looks like the URT diversionary tactic of basically jumping out in front of him and saying boo has managed to work, or at least distracted him enough to for Freddie Young to manage to get a gap and a lapped car in between Freddie and Ilham, and Jazrin rather. So that's your leader right now. He's only got about 4.5 minutes to go. So that's going to be 2 laps left. We're going to go to lap 20, maybe a lap 21, but I think more likely a lap 20. Very nice distance to race around Bathurst, I think. 20 laps do tend to give you quite a good race. Of course, for this series, these cars actually have a slightly smaller fuel tank capacity. They're 60% the size they normally would be for an endurance race. So in these sprint races, then that's just to try and bring the fuel consumption into play and pit strategy into play. This really is an endurance a series that sort of prides itself not only on being one of Malaysia's best iRacing championships, even if we do say so ourselves, but also the kind of championship that requires more than just outright speed to win. You do have to be very good in the endurance aspect of it as well. Majid Hafiz there solidly in the top 10. He's relatively comfortable position. He might even be able to catch up with Tukur Shad up ahead, but he's far enough ahead of Shami Aizan. He doesn't have to worry about it imminently. Again, another driver that just has to keep his head down and keep the wheels underneath him turning as he goes up the hill. But it looks like that might be an opportunity for the very end of the race. 1.6 seconds isn't impossible to do within a lap or two around Bathurst, especially if your car is better tyres. Looks like Saiful Arifin has decided to come into the pits there, and that's a little bit unfortunate timing for him. I'm guessing he tried to pit early, but perhaps not quite pulling off the pit strategy. Jazrin Jali still throwing the car around as hard as he can, trying to push that car as much as possible. It's 1.4 seconds, just like I said just now. It's not an impossible gap to try and bridge. And as we saw, he was down to about 3 seconds gap at one point. So it looks like Jazrin Jali has a lot more pace in the car than Freddie Ang. And Freddie's got some lap traffic up ahead. That's Muhammad Muhaimin up in 19th position. It looks like he's going to be lapped yet again. So Jazrin Jali has a chance to try and catch up. This looks like the end of the race is going to be very, very dramatic indeed. But Jazrin Jali there, he's just going to try and bide his time. He'll hope that Freddie doesn't get past the lap traffic before the mountain section. And it looks like he hasn't been able to do that. Afizul Jaina in 5th position. He is close enough to Tukujan in order to be able to do something about it, but also Jazrin Jali as well. Both cars 0.8 of a second behind a URT car, so it'll be interesting to see how both the URT drivers play this. It looks like Afizul Jai has the pace, has the ability to try and make an overtaking maneuver work. This might all happen on the Conrod straight. But both drivers are getting closer and closer and closer to the URT teammates there. Afizul Jai really looking very, very hard into it. And it looks like that is Freddie Ang getting bottled up behind Muhaimin. Oh, that is absolute disaster. Obviously very difficult to try and let someone pass on the mountain section, so you have to be a little bit lenient on that front. But unfortunately, Freddie Yang just got a little bit too bottled up. Now he's going to be praying that Muhaimin gives him way. Obviously, even though it is lap traffic, they're not going to exactly lift off and pull off to the side of the road. You do have to pass them on pace. The driver who's being lapped is not allowed to defend. And I think we'll see here, no, Freddie Young is just not close enough on the straights to try and lap Muhammad Muhaimin. Whereas Jezrin Jali looks like he does have the pace to try and do something. We're now on the final corner of the race. Will this be a surprise finish? Or will this be Freddie Ang who's going to cross the line there? Everyone's bottled up. Will anybody be able to do anything? And no, it's Freddie Ang who's won the race for Jezrin Jali. Whew. Yeah. Almost went to a lap 21 there, but it looks like Jezrin just about got it, or rather Freddie Young just about got it through in 20 laps. Ilham Halabi comes home in 3rd position. He'd be happy for that, and for Toyota Motorsports. Meanwhile, Afizul Jai for the Android King SSAD team in 5th position. Really hard over the curbs there. He's really going to push. He'd be quite happy with that. Teguh Jan goes 4th. Afizul Jai in 5th. He would have loved to have one more lap to try and battle, but unfortunately that's all for him. Lloyd Lachlan goes across the line in 6th position with Dominic Ang in 7th. Asli Dali is in 8th with that rather bit and battered outer house FCR car, but it looks like that's 2 outer house cars up at the top 10, really continuing the tradition of strong, consistent performances that won them that first series championship. And meanwhile, that's Teguh Irshad for the Dante's Toyota Motorsport team, crossing the line in 9th position, and Shami Aizan finishing in 10th place. He's been pushing virtually everyone around the circuit as hard as possible, and it's a well-deserved top 10 finish for him. But that's Ruben Wong up ahead of Michael Hafiz. Michael was in that top 10 position. He was battling hard with Ruben there, and unfortunately he's gone off at the chase. And unfortunately that might be the last attack that Michael will be able to pull off. And it looks like Ruben Wong will take it home in 12th position with Michael Hafiz in 13th. And James Russell, a fantastic comeback drive to come up to 14th position after being well down the leaderboard up into the 30s. Unfortunately, not very good luck at the start of the race there for him, but nevertheless, Nazmi is in 15th and Saiful is in 16th. So far, Ifin may be a little bit disappointed with that effort, but that is how it goes in racing, unfortunately. Lim there in 18th position, and Muhammad Muhaimin, last of the cars out there on track, in 19th. Whew. That was an amazing race. A huge tactical battle for all the drivers involved there. You can see all the guys now lining up for the customary photo session. But Freddie Young really did use a lot of team play, as is the case with most of these touring car teams. You really have to work as a team, and I think Freddie Young proved that quite well with the fantastic strategy call. And also, not to take away from the driver, he definitely kept his cool. Freddie really did keep himself in the right frame of mind to win that race, and it's a very good race indeed from Freddie Young. Jezrin Jali, if there was 1 or 2 more laps, he might have been able to make that overtaking maneuver work, but it's 0.3 seconds behind for Outer House FCR Performance Team A. Jason Jolly is in second position, and Ilham Halabi for Todak Motorsports is in third. So Todak will be quite happy with that as well. Tuku Janley is in fourth position, followed by Fazil Jai in fifth. Lloyd Lachlan manages to bring it home in sixth position, this after leading for a good portion of the race, alongside Dominic Ang in seventh position, Azli Dali in 8th, Tengku Urshad in 9th, and Shamit Aizan in 10th, with Afif Fadlan, Ruben Wong, Macha Hafiz, James Russell, Nazmi Mazli, Saiful Arifin, Shopian Said, and Aaron Lim rounding out the top of the leaderboard there. Muhammad Mohaimin finishes in 19th position, followed by Tuku Ezanle, Chok Van Pang, Muhammad Zafri, Kevin Ha, Nigel Chua, Zainul Hazim, Eddie Adrian, and Matthew Graham unfortunately had issues there, and he had to finish well down the order. And Faiz Azlan in 28th position, with Jay Chong, Muhammad Shukran, Mavinderjit Singh unfortunately had to retire, Kavinder Singh as well, and Gilbert Ang, who was involved in that little incident up at the top of the hill. That was very unfortunate indeed. But that has been the warm-up race for the General Impact iRacing Malaysia Championship Season 2. And I think we've got a very strong showing from the URT guys, a very strong showing from the Android King team, as well as Todak Motorsports. It's absolutely fantastic. Outhouse FCR as well, very, very strong indeed. I think Jezrin Jelly will be a definite threat for the championship, but Freddie Young will really feel good about that win. That's just the thing he's going to need coming into the main event tomorrow. Speaking of which, that is going to be one absolutely fantastic race. The servers for practice will open at 9 p.m. and the race qualifying session will start at 10 and the race at 10:15. So that is going to be an absolutely fantastic race coming up there, and hope you guys will be able to join us for that.
Hello Ilham.
So hi.
Boleh cakap?
Boleh.
So race ni agak mencabar Hari ni tadi nampak masuk pit, apa tu ada tersilap, terisi lama ke apa tadi?
Tak, memang isi 30 liter.
Oh, okey.
Memang ngam-ngam lah, tak ada masalah dekat pit. Tapi tak tahu lah apa terjadi dekat depan. Tiba-tiba dah nombor 3.
Okey lah. Lepas tu tak apalah, kira dah podium juga kan. So untuk race ni dianya fuel dia tadi memang dah nak habis betul ke apa masa masuk lap, masuk pit?
Masa nak masuk pit tu ada satu lap.
So memang mustahil lah nak cuba habis race lah. Memang kira mandatory lah bila masuk pit.
Memang rasanya mustahil lah sebab kena isi 30 liter. Almost full tank kan.
Tadi start race berapa liter? 40 kan?
Betul rasanya 40.8.
Ya betul lah. So apa tu, memang mandatory pits lah.
Memang orang akan buat mandatory pit. Tak boleh lah.
Okey, ada apa-apa tips tak untuk yang nak elakkan crash untuk first second lap? Tadi banyak crash kat atas bukit tu. Ada apa-apa nak bagi tips tak kepada orang yang dengar ni?
Kalau boleh macam maintain pace je, follow je kereta depan, macam train lah kan. Sebab tak tahulah, macam susah sikit.
Okay, jap aku nak try rewind for the first lap tadi kan. So agak mencabar bila atas bukit tu dorang nak first lap, second lap tu nak try fight position dah kan.
Yes.
Agak bahaya gitu.
Agak risky sebab kalau kita ada terbuat mistake ke apa ke, orang akan time kita, then bye bye lah.
So dah race agak panjang, so risiko tinggi lah. Dia punya risk reward ratio tu.
Tapi tadi Ilham start P11 kan? P berapa?
Tak pasti 11 kot. Tak tengok.
Tapi itulah
belakang my chill.
My chill pun improve banyak agak
Itulah, dia ada masalah sikit, ada tak tahu berlagu dengan driver kot, so dia terbabas lah.
Okay.
Tapi memang fantastic lah dapat fight back masuk ke dalam podium position macam biasalah.
Alhamdulillah, rezeki.
Okay, thank you Ilham. Kita nak jumpa kawan-kawan lain pula masuk je Thank you. Okay.
Sama.
So that was Ilham Halabi. Fantastic fight back to go from 12th position right up to the podium positions. Jai, Hafizul Jai, apa khabar?
Khabar baik.
So apa perasaan nak cuba kawal kan Kia ni dekat atas Mount Panorama?
Memang lembu pakai ice skating.
Huyuh.
Licin lah.
So masa pit tu ambil fuel je ke ada tukar tayar sekali?
Masa pit tu fuel je.
Fuel saja.
Fuel je.
Alright.
Tapi kita tak boleh isi sikit kan. So I tengok everybody macam tunggu cepatlah isi.
Itulah. So apa perasaan untuk esok? Kau rasa ada chance tak?
Okay, well I think everybody show target clean race and then semua mesti be careful kan, sebab bila dekat dekat mountain tu kan, naik dinding tu semua, cuma risiko dia tinggi lah. Satu, kalau orang dia agresif sangat nak potong, sebab I nampak ada yang nak cuba potong dekat area mountain corners ni. Jadi besok gonna be I think big drama. That's the prediction.
Yeah, so tadi pun Ilham bagi advice sikit ke orang masa starting tu dekat kena berhati-hati dekat mountain section. Kalau Jai pula ada tak apa-apa advice untuk siapa-siapa yang tengah dengar yang tak dapat masuk kat practice?
Okay, so maybe I think most tak tukar tayar. So after you pit out, maybe halfway of the race, tire grip tu memang tak ada lah. Even you full brake kan, kalau you full brake pun lock. So maknanya be careful lah bila chasing orang. Takut nanti you still brake at your normal braking point, so nanti end up you langgar orang depan. So nanti masing-masing pun nangis kan.
Betul lah. Dia cuba elakkan apa-apa insiden, walaupun betul ataupun salah pun at the end of the day at the side of the road, not racing. So
So kita respect each other. If safe potong, if not then kita sabarlah.
So for Android King, daripada sebelah Android King tu saya pun nampak dia bagus juga dia punya team performance untuk kali ni. So ada apa harapan untuk team?
Saya berharap for Android King team, everybody will be mencakap synergize together as a team and try to push the team up lah. I think as well as other teams also lah. And then I want to wish good luck to everyone for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, and good luck to you as well.
Okay, one question Hafizul, one question. Nama team last minute tukar jadi Android King Toda SSAD. Anything yang nak share?
Okay. So kita collaboration dengan Toda tu adalah last minute. Sebab I think tak boleh lari lah. Ipin tak boleh lari daripada kita. Sebab actually sponsoring the drivers was the first time for Android King. And then I believe drivers yang ditaja pun adalah first time dia menerima tajaan. So then our team discuss and then we see that this collaboration, tri-party collaboration is a good combination lah. Macam tu.
So memang ada sinergi kat situ lah.
Ya.
That's awesome. Harap-harap nanti akan dapat result yang bagus lah.
Thank you very much.
Alright. Thank you Jai.
Thank you.
So there we have it. It was Hafizul Jai, absolutely fantastic result. Another driver fighting his way up the field there. We have a few comments up there. Dari channel, benar apa ni? Only the most awesome race series in Malaysia right now. I'm only saying that because we're not allowed to go racing just yet. So.
Okay, we're trying to invite Michael. I hope he's in a good mood.
Well, he should be. He was doing quite well until the end.
Hello, Michael. We're live.
Hello.
Are you in a good mood or bad mood? Okay, Aceh ada.
Tak okey lah.
Aduh, mula-mula dah top 10 je. dah nombor 6 mula-mula kan. Itu banyak close contact lah. Kita orang perhatikan sekejap-sekejap tu ada off track. Tak apalah, nanti kita akan buat apa tu, discussion balik dengan ni macam mana nak elakkan. So sebab kita buat apa ni,
warm up.
ada yang buat warm up race ni, nak tengok level macam mana kan, sebab banyak driver baru kan.
Tengah live ke?
Tengah live.
Ya.
So apa-apa pun nanti kita bagi feedback balik lah kat semua orang. Dan apa-apa Cil, nak bagi apa-apa tips tak untuk yang baru join race season 2?
Dia macam biasalah, benda ni race lama kan. So race lama, make it relax dulu. Sebab kalau kita terciduk awal, habis awal lah kan.
Yalah.
So kita akan menyebabkan race ramai pelumba lain punya race rosak lah macam tu. So track ni banyak tempat boleh potong. Mostly dekat straight line lah. So tak tahu, tapi biasalah race tu, kemalangan tu biasa kan. Nak buat macam mana? Shit happen kan.
Itulah banyak betul-betul atas bukit dia.
Itulah. So apa perasaan bawa Kia ni bandingkan daripada MX-5 season 1?
Kia Kia ni dia senang untuk drive. Dia tak senang nak berpusing lah kan. Tapi kena pandai untuk kawal dia punya tayar tu je lah, tayar wear tu. Tayar temp tu akan naik tinggi gila-gila. So hari ni pun track temp tinggi, jadi memang race pace pun agak off beberapa saat pun. Yang qualifying pun off berapa second daripada best time masing-masing pun rasanya. Off 1 second atau 2 second lah daripada best time masing-masing rasanya.
Itu yang kita dapat perhatikan jugalah.
Tapi untuk permulaan tadi, starting dekat beberapa lap pertama tadi tu, bahagian kelompok depan rasanya macam tak ada apa-apa masalah sangat. So kat belakang saya tak tahu. Tapi dengar tadi Muhaimin pun ada terciduk juga, melambung. Jadi mungkin
dia melambung terus hilang.
Melambung terus hilang. So dia kalau off track keluar tu memang akan terus hilang, pergi ke pit terus.
Kita dapat komen hot off the press here from Lloyd Lachlan. Didn't put enough fuel in it at the first stop. Damn. Ouch.
Oi, dia dah leading tadi Cil, Lloyd. Tapi sayang dia tempat speed lagi, dia drop ke 6.
Yelah. Sebab aku tayar dah rosak. So aku pit awal lap ke 6 ke 7 rasanya. So memang aku dah isi full. So pun tak cukup minyak. Jadi aku kena pit last lap tu. Dah waktu pit tu baru white flag.
Maknanya kena ni lah. Kena sabarlah sampai tunggu nak dekat separuh tank baru half race
baru boleh pit in. Ataupun dah nak habis minyak sangat baru pit in, lebih banyak itulah.
Tak apalah, sekurang-kurangnya kita dapat data untuk esok ya. Itu yang penting pasal warm up race ni kan.
Okey.
Benda ni bagus untuk hari ni. So besok orang boleh beware apa kesilapan hari ni kan. So supaya tak jadi masalah di hari besok lah. So mungkin besok semua boleh lebih behave. Sebab kalau tengok kan, kalau yang leading tadi yang nombor 1 pun benda tu akan, bukannya dia akan leading sampai habis kan, yang menang pun orang lain. Jadi benda ni strategi, bukan kelajuan semata-mata. So ada orang yang pit in dia cantik, betul-betul ngam-ngam. Macam Lloyd pit in awal sikit, minyak dah cukup, 2 kali pit in macam dia kena kan.
Dan tadi pun dia komen yang dia tak cukup isi kan, sebab dia ingat dia boleh low fuel run. Tapi
so kalau siapa ada race lab application, advantage, so dia boleh tahu habis race tu
Accurate je dia punya ni, dia punya calculator dia.
race lap accurate.
So itulah hot tips daripada Michael, carikan app Race Labs tu.
Alright Chel, thank you very much. Kita akan go offline lepas ni, memandangkan tak ada siapa lagi yang ni kita dah interview dah Ilham tadi. Okey lah dia performance geng-geng Todak ni okey lah Chel hari ni.
Okey, performance geng Todak hari ni mostly semua habis race. So okey lah kan, sebab hari ni matlamat untuk habis race. So kita dapat collect point 1 point tu. So itulah matlamat hari ni, tak ada matlamat untuk jadi juara pun kan. Kalau juara tu bonus lah.
Todak Asia ni livery cantik
Todak Asia ada colour kuning.
Kita ada lah itulah Pico Media antara
Pico Media, tapi nampak tadi Ipin terciduk dekat
banyak kali dia terciduk, kesian dia.
dekat skyline.
Kita tengok sikit Ipin punya footage dia mula-mula okey, first 10 laps tu okey. Lepas tu dia dah mula terbabas tu. Okey Chel, terima kasih banyak bagi feedback. Nanti kita dengan komiti akan tengok apa ni. Tips in English please. Okay, Matt.
Right. So I just noticed the comment there from Lloyd Lachlan. Good point there. Basically.
There you go. Saiful Arifin crash.
Well, first of all, we're going to turn the figure out what's happening with the gravity there. And secondly, I mean, the main thing is to try and keep calm during the first part of the race. The mountain section is notorious for first lap incidents, so the trick will be to try and keep it cool up there. There's a lot of overtaking opportunities, but it'll be further down towards the pits and down the long straights. That will be your attack zones. And just make sure you fill the car up. As we found out, the cars are very, very marginal around here in terms of fuel, and also very, very marginal in terms of tyres. So that's the main thing. Just think strategically. Put my teeth back in. think strategically and try and be put a bit more planning into the moves, and I think you'll do very, very well indeed. I mean, it goes to show even the quick guys like James Russell was very, very quick. He was the third fastest, I believe, second fastest in practice, third fastest in qualifying, but he just got caught up in the top of the mountain, and unfortunately that's him done for the day. So I guess patience and perseverance will be the order of the day, as opposed to just plain old outright speed. I think Freddie and Jusrin weren't the fastest drivers out on course, but they were the most consistent, and I think that's going to be key. Perseverance and consistency.
Yeah,
I've run out of rhyming now.
Yeah, one tip from Michael. He said to use Race Labs app, so you can have your fuel calculator there.
Yeah, that is another thing as well that's going to help quite a lot from Michael. So there you go. There's your tips, especially from your teammate there or your team associate. Get Race Labs.
Yeah.
Get Race Lab and you will happy.
Yeah.
Michael, ni kampung Lloyd tau, dia race ni.
Kampung.
His hometown, his home race.
Congrats,
Yeah.
Congrats.
So hopefully with those tips you'll be able to improve on it, but I will have to say Lloyd did very, very well to get right up there, running in third, leading the race for quite a long time. Hopefully we'll see you up at the pointy end tomorrow.
Alright, Matt, do the wrap up and we're gonna go offline.
Alrighty, so a special thanks to our sponsors, Works Engineering, Lucas Oil, Precision, Android King, and to our supporter, the Motorsports Association of Malaysia. Special thanks to them for joining us for this season, as well as to all our partners. And special thanks to our director, Karo Alang, to Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, thank you all. Enjoy.
All right. And thanks to Muhammad Nazmi and Lloyd Lachlan and all the guys who have commented. It's been nice being able to interact with you guys. My name has been Max Palmer, or Matthew Palmer. A lot of people have asked me about that, and just a quick tip. I ran out of names, so hence why on sim racing I'm Max Palmer.
Yeah, we're all very. I think the best name for you in Malaysia is Mat.
Yeah, must be Matt. Matleh. But in
Okay.
any case, we will see you all in the next round. Do stay tuned tomorrow for the championship race, and I will see you on the next broadcast. Ta-ra!
Bye.
Bye. Tara.
Hi, I'm Matt from Interformula, and welcome to our Research and Development Centre. We do all forms of research and development, all the way from designing and developing our own race cars, to simulators, to running cars in racing series and rallying all over the world. We also do a lot in the Asian Classic Car Championship, so do look out for us. For any information, do contact us with the number down below.